Bender, stop lacing your pot with cocaine, bro. This was a teen movie hit. It wasn't a overall hit. It wasn't like Superman back in 1977 or Star Wars or anything. But
dude, I remember picking it up on VHS, watching it over and over again. It was a classic, baby.
So you're a Breakfast Club fan. Tell me your recollections of the Breakfast Club. Like in your mind, what is this story about? Anybody who hasn't seen the Breakfast Club, I don't know, stop listening.
Go somewhere else.
Yeah,
watch the Breakfast Club. Come back.
Go watch the Breakfast Club, because no matter how great, if this is their greatest podcast of all time or our greatest episode of all time, it's not as good as the Breakfast Club anyway. So go watch that. Come back here, see what we think. But I think you know how you get like a kind of a core. You kind of just in your head, you go, okay, this is what this movie's about. To you, what's the Breakfast Club about?
The Breakfast Club is about youth of all types. All social strata coming together and abolishing those lines and standing up to the man.
The man being Vice Principal Richard Vernon.
Yes, but really, it's a bit of a social parable. I found breaking down social caste, breaking down walls that exist between groups and cliques, destroying those walls, finding the commonality that exists in determining a common enemy, a common enemy.
You switch around the good guys, the bad guys, kind of in this particular, who you're rooting for, who you're not rooting for, who's a victim, who's a jerk. Those are because there's no real antagonist, protagonist in my head. I think at the end of the day, what John Hughes was trying to do, and he nailed it. I love this movie. I'm going to talk a bunch of smack about a movie I absolutely adore. Five kids from different walks of life, and when they leave, like their whole outlook on life has been turned upside down. Like just on you're hanging out and smoking pot with a kid you probably would have beat up if you saw him in the hallway.
This is very true. I would have beaten up Anthony Michael Hall. I think I did beat up Michael Anthony Hall. But fun fact about Michael Anthony Hall, he got cut later in life, man.
Pretty sure it's Anthony Michael Hall, but I like when you say, because it's so many first names, you just say whatever you want to say. Bill John Phillips.
Hall Anthony Michael, he got cut, man.
He really did get cut too.
Solid.
He's not that way anymore, but he got cut for like a good 10, 15 years there.
Yeah, he and his little role in Edward Scissorhands, he was like cut.
I totally forgot about that. He played the jock.
He did play the jock.
He went from playing the brain to playing the jock.
Yeah, he went from being him to being Emilio Estevez.
That's true. Emilio Estevez, who shouted so loud he broke a double pane glass door.
Yeah, just from being high.
Bender, stop lacing your pot with cocaine, bro. Like, these guys are newbies. So if you're going to lace that with cocaine so everybody's jumping around, dancing around, yelling, that's not pot. That's not how it works.
Yeah, Emilio was going wicked, insane. And then you had Anthony Hall Michael going, Michael Anthony Hall going total, like, he actually pulled off stoner in that one.
And I hold this smoke. That's what it is.
So, Will, give me your view of Richard Vernon. Do you agree that maybe in hindsight he's not the bad guy? I mean, we all remember him a certain way, right?
Well, I think anybody who deals with children on the regular is probably this close to violence. So my perspective on it as a 48-year-old coward is that I probably would have been much more aggro. I probably would have been much worse. I would have been a much worse vice principal. I think he actually, in hindsight, with a little perspective, yeah, these kids were dicks. The story's not about him. You got to put him in the position of being a dick so that these kids can go through this transformation. And then, they actually justify his dickish behavior with Carl. Yeah, Carl, the Carl the janitor comes in and, talks him through why he's being a dick and what it was like to be young and all of this. And he's still like, but I'm still a dick.
They're not changing. You are. He's like, no, I'm not. He's like, oh, what would the 16-year-old you think of you now? Like, it's not we all think the youth of America is changing when really it's just us getting older.
Well, and that's true. There are some macro generational trends, but we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, they did like a 3 to 4 year run of, remember this term, the Brat Pack? Remember the
Brat Pack? Yeah.
Which I was right in that. We were right in that age group where we love the Brat Pack.
Oh, dude, yeah, love the love. Yeah, never had a crush on Molly Ringwald.
Neither did I. Never understood the whole thing about her.
Did on Ali Sheedy, but that came from War Games.
Oh God, she was great in War Games. I never had a crush on Ali Sheedy, but I could see having a crush on her more than Molly Ringwald. So this is Judd Nelson's movie, basically. If you think about, if you rewatch it, and him and Bender get into a lot of confrontations, and they're not appropriate, really, and that's usually led by Bender, but certainly old Principal Dick Vernon could have done a better job on some of these occasions. Sometimes I think he did as good a job as he could have. Remember when he walked out of the door after they had that, when he yelled, "Fuck you!" and he just kept walking. He was like, you know what? I'm not going back in. I'm not doing this. I'm going to let him have the last word. But those are the things that we don't remember about Vice Principal Vernon, is that he let them have the last word a whole lot.
He let them
until he had just had enough.
The next time I have to come in here, I'm cracking skulls.
And for Saturday Detention, as somebody has been to Saturday Detention 30 years ago,
I've never even heard of that.
Oh, dude, it was
never even heard of. Was it from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m.? Was it 9 hours?
It was, yeah. It was like it was like normal school hours. You went in 8 to it was like 7:45 to 3. And here was the rub: you couldn't do anything. You just sat there. And my problem was I absolutely adored in-school detention because I didn't have to hang out with anybody. I didn't have to deal with anybody. And I just sat in a cubicle and read books all day. So I had more detention than almost anybody I know. It was brilliant. They brought you your homework. They brought you your books. They told you what you needed to do for the day. They brought you your lunch. I was finished with my homework in 20 minutes. I read the rest of the day.
I would be in detention as well. I would be reading Choose Your Own Adventure books.
It was amazing. It was great. And but I'll tell you what, man, if I had acted like Bender.
Yeah, right. If you called the vice principal, Bud, take it easy, Bud. That's, you know what? That's detention again. That's another detention. It might even, and it borders on suspension if you call me Dick like that. Dick.
Oh, dude.
You know my name's Richard. That's you know what? You're out of here. It's strike 1, 2, and 3.
Here's the thing. I'm not an educator. I'm not a teacher.
I couldn't be one.
Any kid talks to me like that, if they're 48-year-old Judd Nelson, I'm putting hands on them.
If somebody said, "Okay, my name's Dirk," I hear Dick a lot. But if some high school kid was like, "All right, Dick," I'd be like, "Excuse me, what'd you say? Come back, say it to my face." I would be him in the closet. I would be Principal Vernon in the closet, and I'd take off my jacket. I'd be like, "I know you think I'm an old man, but I'm not. Here we go, man. I'm getting jacked up now. Nobody called me anything."
Fuck you say?
Everything's fine, Dirk. Just relax.
And Bender's not here, man. Bender's not here.
That's the last time, Bender. That's the last time you ever make me look bad in front of those kids. Do you hear me? I make $31,000 a year, and I've got a home, and I'm not about to throw it away on some punk like you. But someday, man, someday, when you're out of here and you've forgotten all about this place, and they've forgotten all about you, and you're wrapped up in your own pathetic life, I'm going to be there. That's right. And I'm going to kick the living shit out of you, man. I'm going to knock your dick in the dirt.
When they all get in there, right, in the morning, and he says it's 7:06, you now have exactly however many minutes until you're done here, whatever. It's a nice little intro. It's basically him welcoming them to detention. And the first thing he says is, "Congratulations on getting here on time." And he doesn't mean it shitty. He's like, "Congratulations on getting here on time. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what you can't do. Here's what I need you to do. I'll be in the other room." So to me, that's like a perfect detention.
That is a will detention. Like that is a detention I would look for. It's a detention
I would go to that.
I would go, like, I would actually go to, like, can I be in detention now?
Was it Ali Sheedy? Didn't she say, like, I don't have to be here? Somebody said, I don't have to be
Ali
here.
Sheedy. She doesn't have to be there. She just shows up every week.
I would be her.
You want to know what I did to get in here? Nothing. I didn't have anything better to do. You're laughing at me.
During that whole, when he's saying all that, Bender's like spitting up and catching his own spit and stuff. And it's like, dude, stop being a douche. In 1984, we were at the height of Just Say No. So Bender having pot is a huge deal. That's like having cocaine now.
Not really.
No, not at all. I think when he catches him, they'd had a couple arguments. He called him Bud. He called him Dick. He told him to fuck off. Like, I don't think he had any choice but to put him in some kind of solitary situation. I don't know if a broom closet is the situation we want to go with, though. There are plenty of classrooms.
Well, I do think there's a bit of a, this is where things change. What he did in that situation, how that would have played out is Bender would have gone to the police, accused Vern of child abuse and maybe more. At that point, Vern may have been guilty of child abuse by locking him in a broom closet. I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he isn't. I wouldn't do it. But today it would be a criminal offense. Then people looked at it and they were like, meh.
I got to tell you, ready for this? Dick makes a pretty good point when he's talking to him in the broom closet. Who are you going to tell? I'm known as a swell guy. I'm a member of the community. You're known as an asshole. No, who's going to take your word over mine? Because nobody else knew he was in the broom closet. Like the other kids didn't know he was there. He just told them he's coming with me and left. So if he goes to the cops and says he kept me in a broom closet, everyone's going to be like, what are you talking? No, I put him in a classroom because he's being an asshole. You can see his record. He's got pot. Like he smoked pot. You guys know who he is. You guys know me.
I'm Vern. I'm Dick Vernon. Remember the community.
Good guy, Dick Vernon.
I own my own house.
John then escapes from his solitary up through the ceiling roof and then falls down, potentially injuring himself, certainly doing property damage to get out of his solitary, which, again, this kind of... So the crease in my argument here turns in the closet. When you take off your jacket and you're like, hit me one time, just one time, hit me right here. It's like, okay, dude, relax.
That is a dick turn.
Based on stories of home lives, it seems to me that the principal's giving them all a day off.
Yeah.
Nobody had a good home life, right?
Brian tried to kill himself with a flare gun.
Because his parents put so much pressure on him.
Yeah.
Like Molly Ringwald, she didn't have the worst home life, right?
Yeah, Molly Ringwald was Molly Ringwald, right? Like, oh my God, my parents expect me to be so pretty because I'm so pretty.
Right, nobody felt bad for her.
Ali Sheedy's parents ignored her. She was the Cameron character in this.
First of all, there's nobody like Cameron. Cameron's the best ever. When Cameron was in Egypt's land.
Let my people go.
When Cameron was in Egypt's land. Let my Cameron go.
I'm dying. You're not dying. You just can't think of anything good to do.
You're not dying, you just can't think of anything good to do.
I don't think detention's the worst thing for these guys.
No. I mean, and obviously it paid off for him. I just feel like poor Dick was treated poorly now. Dirk, you convinced me. Like, I feel bad for the guy. Like, he was just here and he was just trying to do the job. He had a guy who was in his face. He was trying to manage the situation. Would 16-year-old him like him? Probably not, because who wants to be an educator? I'm just saying, like,
Thank you, because I truly believe it, and I got to tell you, up until that point, again, to the turn where he's had enough. Even if you're not Bender and you say something, and a lot of times somebody would say something like, I don't think you can do that, sir. He basically just looked at him and went like this, stop. He's portrayed as this horrible person, even in the synopsis of the thing, under a power-hungry principal. He's not power-hungry.
So can we talk a little bit about typecasting?
Yeah, let's do it.
So poor Dick. You know what else he went on to be a dick in?
God, I feel like he was in like 13 to 15 things where he was that same character.
And he was a dick in every one of them. But the one I'm thinking of specifically, Die Hard.
You're so right.
He was
the deputy director. What's his name? What was his name? Do you remember?
I can't remember his name. I just remember he was deputy police chief something.
This is Deputy Chief of Police Dwayne T. Robinson, and I am in charge of this situation.
You're right. He's a total douche in that movie. He is the bad guy in that movie. It's not Hans.
It's not Hans. It's not Hans, man. No, he's the bad guy in that movie.
Shooting out the lights. Hey, they're going for the lights. Good call by you. Good catch.
Oh yeah, that's a fun cut.
Are you allowed to leave if you didn't do your essay? They did one essay.
They did do one essay.
So shouldn't they all have done an essay? I remember seeing John Gleason do like an interview where he even said like, I'm supposed to be at the end there kind of getting where they're coming from.
Right.
You know, which is cool. But that's so anyway, I stick to that. I think the victim, he's not a good guy, but I think he's a victim. And I think he did his best. We came together. We're the Breakfast Club. We hope you see us as we are. And it's like, I remember I was going to actually count out the words. I was like, there's no way that's 1,000 words, bro. Like, not only did you do 1 instead of 5, you left it at like 200 words. Okay, so that's Breakfast Club. Now, let me reiterate this. I freaking love the Breakfast Club. It's a great coming of age movie.
I don't think I like it anymore, Dirk.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm serious. Like, in the same way that you can deconstruct a lot of Disney movies and make me hate them because of what the message they're sending to my daughter, I don't think I like the Breakfast Club anymore as an adult.
Well, I think
you kind of ruined it.
Once the turn happens, it's fine. But I just think Vernon gets a real bad rap at the beginning of that movie. He's maybe the calmest educator I've ever seen. Like my teachers back in the day, and I know it's different now, but it's funny because I was on YouTube looking at stuff like Breakfast Club, and there are therapists who go through like Vice Principal Vernon and what's wrong with him. It's like, dude, relax. Everybody chill. Like, let's not all look at the whole world through our profession, first off.
Well, and if you are trying to psychologically break apart a movie, in all honesty, you're doing psychology wrong.
Yeah, and I got news for you. That's not a nonfiction movie. It's not a documentary.
Right.
He's a fictional character.
He's a fictional character that's written in a very specific way to elicit a very specific response from the other people in the movie. I was really excited about this conversation.
Don't hate the Breakfast Club. Just like it in a different way.
No, hate it.
You know what? Screw the Breakfast Club.
I don't want to.
Not to mention, it's not the Breakfast Club. It's the breakfast, lunch, and dinner club.
Well, more like an early supper.
Like a soup.
Maybe tea. Maybe it's like the breakfast, lunch, and tea club.
Maybe you get a bisque.
Ooh, I could go for a bisque. Like a nice lobster bisque.
At the end of the day, Dick Vernon, you've got my vote. I hope you stay vice principal. I hope you're still there. You were already there for 22 years, making $31,000 and owning your own home. I hope you're still there from 2024, buddy, from 1985.
Should be paid off by now, unless he's refied a few times.
Well, I got to assume he's principal somewhere now. He might even be some form of superintendent. Hey, don't forget to like and subscribe. I tell you why. That's how we get subscribers and likes. And from those of you who comment to me via Twitter or on my Facebook or Instagram, go ahead and put that on YouTube. That's helpful. I appreciate anybody who watches these things. We love doing them. We do them for fun. So, but if you're gonna comment, go ahead and comment on YouTube. Otherwise, it's just my wife. Hey, Will, what happens if you mess with a bull?
You get the horns.